success in Europe.
Ah, super, ouais.
I think early in our careers, because where we're born, we think movies are only for Americans. And we quickly realize that that's not true. And some of the greatest successes that we've achieved in our careers have come from overseas audiences.
There's a question on the left-hand side. Please, if you could stand up so we see you.
Wanting to go around the world and coming to Europe was to try to get certain stories straight, because in my own country they refused to acknowledge the facts of Waterworld, both budgetary and politically speaking. So from the very first day we began filming, we were seen by the world and by the press as a movie that was over budget. That simply is not true. The movie was one of the hardest points in my life, and people ask me very often, would you do it again? And I said, no, I wouldn't. And I mean that. I don't care how much money Waterworld makes. I mean, our lives are kind of short spans that we have, and to have so much upheaval, whether it be personal, professional, financial, or whatever, I don't think is worth it. And I think in life we tend to think that if it makes money, then it's worth it. But this picture wasn't for me. It was an entirely entertaining movie, and I think will become a classic movie.
Are you a little bit tired about this always be the bad guy?
Not yet. They keep being killed and I keep coming back. You know, it's wonderful. If this could only work in life, huh?
What town are you?
You need for things to be over in your life. I mean, you have to reach closure, and movies can't go on forever, and this one certainly tried to. There would always be, in retrospect, things you could do differently, but it's kind of, that ain't the time now. No tears before bedtime.
How do you think audiences are going to react to this?
Well, I hope if they see it, they're going to like it.
The best part was the whole thing. The whole thing was the best. Yeah, it was such a great movie. It's a really good experience. It was great. It was great. The whole thing was the best.
Yeah, it was like a really physical shoot. I mean, it was hanging from gates. It was swimming 3 blocks. It was, you know, watching explosions. It was trying to maintain balance on a boat. It was really physical, but that's good. I mean, you can see that when you watch the movie.
Universal Pictures presents a world unlike any you have ever seen.
True, in an industry where the modus vivendi seems to be to outspend the other studios, Waterworld is exceptional. The movies costing this much have had this kind of publicity. Extravagance, bad weather, and doubtless ego all contributed towards the cost. Hollywood, when it's being economically sensible, tends to make these sort of epics in a water tank on the studio lot. Waterworld was made in the sea of Hawaii. Film star Kevin Costner has had a bad time of it, like with his wife, his director, and in his last film, with his public.
This movie was more dangerous than it looked. So it was a lot of things that were done there. The implications if something went wrong were disastrous.
So has all the controversy around this hurt your feelings?
Hurt my feeling. only have one left.
3 weeks later than scheduled, and Waterworld finally opened in the States at the weekend. A certain curiosity value boosted its opening weekend take to a respectable $21 million.
I don't understand why the critics dogged it. It's such a great movie.
I think it's definitely interesting, but a poor rendition of Mad Max.
Universal recently changed hands, and any losses on Waterworld seem to have already been absorbed in sale. The studio was owned by the Japanese. It's now owned by Seagram's, the Canadian distillers. To help nurse his wounded feeling, Kevin Costner is guaranteed at least $14 million. And Hollywood is preparing to spend ever more on the movies. Warner's has given the thumbs up for a new Schwarzenegger picture, Crusade, and its budget is apparently as big, if not bigger, than that spent at sea on Waterworld.
The polar ice caps have melted.
It's reckoned to be the most expensive movie ever made. Waterworld is Kevin Costner's biggest gamble, a story of a search for land in a world covered by rising sea.
It doesn't exist! How can you be sure?
The only thing that rose relentlessly during production was the cost, a high watermark of nearly 200 million American dollars. The huge budget didn't buy any favours from the critics, most of whom gave it the thumbs down. But Waterworld has got off to a confident start where it really matters, here at the box office, where it's taken $20 million in its first 2 days.
To Waterworld.
Even one of the film's executives suggested it would have been better to pull the plug at $35 million. Not so, argues Costner.
I'm not embarrassed by the figure. I've said as much actually in articles, because I think probably in retrospect a lot of things could be, handled differently, but that's life.
From those who did go, mixed reactions.